Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our podcast. Here I am, Johan, who is talking. Hello, I'm Juan David.
Hi, I'm Eva. Juanita speaking.
Okay. What are we going to talk in today's podcast? You remember the topic?
We are going to talk about the more common myths that we can find when learning languages.
Okay, which languages specifically?
English. Well, not English, language in
Are not prepared to report. The Roman languages and English, of course. Well, did you do your homework? Which myth did you bring to today's podcast? Of course, people. Well,
Okay, mine is about uh, when you have to start speaking. People think that you cannot speak if you don't have a good accent or if you are not like advanced in the language you're learning. That's why people sometimes is people are afraid of start talking because they think they have to do it perfectly, that they have to that they cannot make mistakes. So
yeah, got it.
yeah, they're kind of afraid of talking.
Yeah, that's your myth. And I also think it's important to define what is a myth.
Yeah, probably the beliefs or thoughts that people have on learning languages, but that they are not true.
But there are no.
Yeah, and that can be used kind of on an excuse, but people don't know that. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, so what I mentioned is that you have to have a perfect accent to start talking, and well, that's not true because how can you have a perfect accent if you haven't practiced or if you haven't tried before? So the truth is that you have to practice, and by practicing and by talking is when you're going to improve your accent and all of that stuff. So well, as we can see, this myth is completely wrong. It's not true. We have to make mistakes to learn. We have to, yeah, we have um to do things wrong to know how to do them right.
yeah. And what do you think about that myth?
Well, I think is one of the most common, oh, not that myth, but an excuse for people not to be like have the encourage enough to talk and to, for example, to participate, to have conversations, to all that kind of stuff. And as Juanita said, I think it's the only way you can really learn by talking, by practicing, by making mistakes. So yeah, I think it's truly yeah,
But was it when learning your languages, guys? Have you experienced this?
Of course,
of course,
like
yeah.
when I first started talking in Portuguese, I found myself saying stuff that was not related with the language and also with an accent, well, a terrible accent, that it was more associated with like American people talking Portuguese. That was my Portuguese friends told me. So at the beginning, it was kind of sad because, of course, you want to sound native, you want to sound as good as you possibly can. But if you cannot do that, you have to keep practicing in order to like achieve that goal. Of course, you want to talk with no accent, but to do that, you have to practice with accent. You need to follow the order in order.
That's true. It also happened to me, or well, it's happening to me every time I practice my Italian because I
Yeah.
feel like I am talking like a kid because I just know how to say like some words, but I cannot connect them like in a fluent way. So I sound like saying things like I like
Okay.
person like this, like speaking like in a robotic way. Sorry, but I think that's like doing the first step, and I know recognizing that at least I can say some words and all of that is it's pretty like the more important part,
Yeah.
the most important part. Sorry, so
Oh, don't worry. Uh, so I think you guys, I mean, Juan David and Eva, that are actually practicing French have probably perceived. No, that it's not.
experienced.
No, experience. Yeah, I didn't know what I meant. But with French, because in French we found so many words that are connected, so many liaisons. So it's really hard to like keep your speech because you have to connect words, you have to connect ideas, and if you want to sound native, you need to know how those words connect with each other or relate with each other. Uh, and so I think in those languages that are uh, uh well, I can edit this. Non-syllabic languages. It's kind of hard. And which other myth did you bring to our
Juan
conversation?
David, what myth you haven't?
Okay, I have the myth that you have to travel the country that the language you want to learn is spoken. And maybe it can be useful for people that maybe know a little about the language. Like, oh, but if I travel, I will be I will be improve my English in a high level. But to start, to start, it's not necessary to travel to the country. You can do it by home. We have a lot. And even if you're advanced or if you're intermediate, you don't need to travel. Yes, of course, we have a lot of nowadays, a Wi-Fi connection, we have YouTube channels, website that can be useful, and it's not necessary to travel to another country. Maybe in the past it could be work because we didn't have all these tools, but nowadays we have. So it's not necessary. And also, you can notice that in some like English-spoken countries, there are a lot of people that have lived there for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and that,
Learn.
yeah, and haven't learned anything. So,
Yeah, but the thing is that if you can do it, you have the opportunity. I mean, it of course can be useful if you consider that it will work for you. But what we
and if you have the money,
yeah, it's the money. But what we want to say and to clarify here is that sometimes it is used as an excuse to not to start doing. Yeah. So they say
I cannot travel to the place, so I cannot without learning the language.
so I won't then learn French because I don't live in France. Well, that doesn't make sense. You can do it in your Ibagué. So yeah, that's true. That's a really common myth. What else do we have?
Okay, we also have the myth that learning a language is expensive. I mean, well, we have traveled to another country, which is also expensive, but we're talking about like paying courses and tutors and all that kind of stuff where you have to spend a lot of money to work to learn a language, but it's also an excuse because you can do it for free. You can do it at your home. You can do it on websites that are free, and yeah, you don't have to waste a lot of money while doing that.
yeah, that's
Yeah, like
Yeah, there are many resources you can use without spending money.
of course.
And the way we have done it.
Yeah, and also, well, in my case, I have spent some money on English and a little bit
Oh well,
Italian,
English, but
and also in Italian, but it didn't work. So
oh well, let's talk about that.
yeah, and also if we talk about like what she said, that is, you don't need to spend money. In your case, if you have money to spend it, of course, it will be great. We don't mean to say, don't pay for a teacher, don't go to any website and buy it. Of course, you can do that, and of course, it will help you. But we want to encourage you to go through. go through other free content, so you don't have the excuse of no, I haven't learned any language. No, I cannot learn any language by not paying. That's not true. In my case, I learned Portuguese and I'm learning French that way, and I haven't spent any
Yeah.
cent, any buck.
I mean, if you can do it, great, then do it. But well, in a wise way. But if you
The-
but if you cannot, you can start anyway. So
Yeah,
yeah, don't put excuses, please. You can do it without money.
Yeah, that doesn't worry.
Yeah.
yeah, because I have met some polyglots and some people who have actually paid for t-shirts, and of course it's good. And if we talk, well, we are talking about Romance languages, so it's not that hard. But if we're talking about Russian, if we're talking about Chinese, of course it will be faster if you pay to someone
Yeah,
helping you.
it will be effective to have some teachers or maybe some classes in some apps, or subscribing to some membership of a channel where you can talk with native speakers. That would help. But yeah, as we said, to start, you don't have to spend like a lot.
And also is a myth, and I think it's kind of funny because it's considered a myth, and I used to believe that. So when I first started learning Italian, I thought I needed to spend some money on it, and
But
shut up, as a way to an inversion to myself, as something, but it didn't work. And suddenly I noticed that I was the only person who
was in charge,
I was the only one charging in charge.
charge of your own level.
My
And I also think it's because of people are not like
Yeah.
do it like brave enough, or like they don't think they're capable to learn a language by themselves, and they think like they need to have someone giving them lessons, giving them activities, um repeating the lessons and all that kind of stuff, and they can just like be their own teacher.
yeah,
Someone
yeah,
But
because
that's true.
it
Yeah.
takes so much responsibility being in charge of your learning.
And also it takes a lot of effort doing the first step. I mean, taking the first step is the most. I mean, is the hardest part, because well, you feel like you know nothing and you don't know where to start, so it can be hard. But yeah, I agree
And
with
yeah,
Eva.
also yeah, that's true. And also um related to my myth, that is grammar and so on. I wanted to say something that I heard. I don't remember where. But um, taking the first step, it's hard, but keep walking is hard
Oh yeah,
because you start with motivation, and then you lose it. Then what's next? So, what about it?
yeah, it's
It's
hard to keep.
yeah. So I think that's material for another podcast.
Yeah, let's move on and talk
Yeah.
about the next myth.
Uh, it's grammar, but in different ways. In my personal way, I think grammar is not uh really important.
But I mean, say the myth
Yeah.
first.
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
The myth is that you need to learn too much grammar to then learn the language. That means you need to start by present simple, then you move to adjective, then you move to another tense, and so on. And in that way, you will learn the language. But I don't think that's true for many reasons. But as a reminder to all of you, of course, if you like to learn that way, if you really love the grammar, you can do it. But we mean to say, uh, yeah, sorry, that uh, you don't need to memorize, you don't need to follow extremely accurate
Structures.
these structures. Yeah. So you can learn a language by exposure. That I think is the most important thing. Because if we do math, think about it. If we have exposure and grammar, we will have results. But if we have grammar and not exposure, don't we won't have
Yeah, we're
results.
just going to understand the language, but not.
Yes,
Yeah, I'm not talking it. And it's always you always say Johan, and is that we learn grammar from language and not language from grammar. And
Yeah.
that's kind of
And yeah, and I want to give some credit to Lucas Lamparello. I listened that code from him, and I think he listened that code from someone else. We doing
a famous quote is not
great.
get credit in.
In the link below, of course. And well, I think how much time we have? 16. It doesn't matter. We can edit this. And we have grammar. What else to say about grammar?
What do you think, Randa, about grammar?
Yeah. To this homeless person.
So, where are you part of this project?
Answer?
Yeah. No.
Solai. Answer?
Yeah.
And as you said, maybe it depends on the person who wants to learn and why does he want to learn.
No. There we go. That's important.
Like for example, if you want to be a teacher like us and you are learning how to learn and and you don't have like you are not studying at university and you don't know all those things. Maybe it can be useful for you to learn the grammar, like take into account all the details for grammar. Yeah. But if you are just a person who is learning by himself, maybe he just want to learn a new language. Maybe it can be English, French. I mean, romantic languages. Romance languages. Get in your ear. And maybe it could not be necessary because maybe it would help you maybe later before you start a lot of vocabulary, uh, talking with people. So I think that to start, maybe it cannot be the best way, but it depends on you. Oh, and also it's up to you. We probably have talked about this in podcasts or in our videos that every time you want to learn something depends on your objectives. If you want to be a teacher or if you want to be, let's say, or not be, but like enter to an university, and you have to present an international exam. Of course, you need grammar because international exams takes grammar. So, um depends on your objectives. But as Juan David said, if you just want to learn the language, don't think in the traditional way of okay, let's start with present, then I will move to present continuous. Then no, because there's no order to learn a language. You can learn whatever you want to learn that adapts to your objective. Sorry. So I think it is important to think about grammar as a way to uh, interact with language, but not as the way to learn a language. So if you like some stuff about the grammar, in my case in Italian, I would really like to learn the conjunctive as a like very
What?
wait no yeah as a very how can I say that like in a very brave way like in a very um
You're
way.
challenging.
No, that is hard. No, I was saying like I want to learn subjunctive so bad,
Okay.
like in a really good way. Like use the subjunctive, know how when to an experience subjunctive.
This is your interest and you
Yeah,
want it.
yeah, and I
Okay.
want to do that, and it's something I want. But if you don't want to do that, or you don't want to do that with English or with any language you're learning, so yeah, it's not necessary to.
Yes, and this is a disclaimer, and is that this is just an alternative that work for us and for many people. I mean, learning language from grammar and not grammar from no, sorry, learning grammar from language and not language from grammar.
Yeah,
But if you really love grammar and the traditional ways, you know you can do it. I mean, what works for you, you are the person who knows what works for you. And we are here learning how to learn. So if you already know that that's useful for you, you can keep using it.
and as Juanita said, if you don't agree with our myths, and you want to travel to another country, or you want to pay a course, of course you can't. It's up to you. You but it's up to you. We are just giving some solutions
Yeah.
in order to start from scratch.
Yeah, that's
I mean, this is not gonna hear any.
the objective with these meets is just to let you know that sometimes we put some excuses on because we think we are not capable of doing things, we think we don't have resources, we think we cannot, but it's proof that we actually can with the things we have. So this is like an invitation of stop putting excuses and start learning a language right now.
Yeah, and remember, this is a podcast by students that are learning the language. So if we commit any mistake, you can let us know in the comments because we are learning as you. And this was learning how to learn. I think we see you in the next episode.
Para
This is Disney Channel.